Hello and welcome everyone to this pre-recorded workshop for the TORQ system on the CareerLink site. My name is Nick and I'll be running you through this TORQ system. So what is TORQ before we even get into it? Well, TORQ stands for a Transferable Occupation Relationship Quotient. And what essentially that means is that TORQ is a skills assessment program used to look at all the skills and abilities that you use in your past jobs and or careers and see how those things are marketable towards possible new careers. So this is very helpful if you're just coming out of a job or career that you've worked in for some time and you want to go into something entirely different. It can also be helpful for those of you who've had a lot of different jobs and you aren't really sure as to how to move forward or what kind of job to look into. So that's what this TORQ system is going to help us do. And you'll see a lot more of how that works once I actually hop into the TORQ system itself. So to access the TORQ system, you want to go to the CareerLink site, the one you see before me. As you can see at the top there, you want to go to pacareerlink.pa.gov, and that should take you right to it. Or a quick search online, such as a Google search for PA CareerLink. The first link should be our site. So once you're on your site, you're going to go over here to the login box and enter in your login information. If you're saying, you know, I'm not sure my login information is, give our helpline a call, available on the Lehigh Valley site, to see what that information is. Give us one of us a call to find out what your login and password is if you have one set up already. If you don't have one set up already, again, simply call that number to help. They get a staff member to help you set your information up there. But I have my information in, so I'll click enter or press that sign in right below. Okay. So this is the CareerLink site for those of you who haven't seen it just yet, but we're going to focus on the TORQ stuff today, assuming that you do have some familiarity with this site. We're going to go over here to Career Services and go over to Skills Assessments. Okay, and this is where you can access all of the TORQ information. So it's going to give you a little information here about TORQ and how it works. There's a little video about how TORQ sort of works down here you can watch in addition to this. But we want to get right into the system. So we want to scroll into the bottom here. And right here, if this is your first time, it should say Register. Now after you go into the TORQ system once, and go into it again every other time after that, it'll say enter, like mine does right here. So I'll click enter right here. Now sometimes when you're on this site and you click that enter register button, it may seem like the site didn't do anything. It may seem like nothing happened. What likely happened is a pop-up blocker happened. So if you're on Google Chrome, the browser I'm on right now, it should appear right up here in the corner. There'll be a little symbol right here that almost looks like a little calendar symbol. If you're on Microsoft Edge or Internet Explorer, something of this symbol right down here where my cursor is, at the bottom of your screen, you should get some sort of box that appears right in this general area here, asking you if you want to allow this pop-up to move forward. Make sure you do click allow, whether it's on the top right here or the bottom here, for that pop-up to move forward, because we do need that pop-up to go into this screen right here. So once you have resolved that pop-up blocker issue, you'll be greeted with this little disclaimer screen. And what this disclaimer screen is basically saying to you is that you're leaving the CareerLink site and going to a new site. That's all well and good. Let's click OK right here. Now we'll give some time to load. There's going to be a few other things to click through, so we'll just click Let's Go. A little redundant, but that's okay. Let's get started. And now we'll get to our first sort of information screen of the TORQ program here. So right here it's going to ask you for your zip code. You don't necessarily need to worry about these two, especially the access code. Don't worry about that at all. If you are a veteran, you can click there, but in reality you don't really need to for the system's purposes. But put in your address code, or excuse me, your zip code right here, and click Next. Okay, so here's where you might spend the most of your time using the TORQ system, is actually putting information here. I would highly recommend having your resume by you or some other form of your work experience by you, just so you have an easier time going about putting this information in. And I would also recommend that you put in every job that you've worked in your career, whether they've been jobs that you really liked or really disliked, jobs you don't intend on going back to, or jobs you would like to go back to. It doesn't matter, because all those skills from all those jobs will be applicable to newer jobs. So even, again, if you didn't like a job you worked in the past, still put it in this little box here, or these sets of boxes here, because it will be important. So let's say, for example, I was a chef. So I'll type in the word chef here. And you probably saw there when I started typing, it started with these little pop-ups down here, with these little job descriptions, if you will, little mini job descriptions right down here. I want to click on one of these things that is most applicable. Now, if one of these aren't applicable, I could click the Show More button, and it will show me some more things on here. If you're still not finding things in here, try changing your keywords around and all that fun stuff here. The other thing is what if you're not sure if chefs or cooks is more appropriate for you? Well, to do that, we actually do want to go into another website where TORQ pulls its information from. So to do that, we're going to go on TORQ Online. Let me get my little thing out of the way there. TORQ Online, as you can see right here in the top corner, or even right here, is a website that we use quite frequently at the CareerLink, and you might have seen some of my other workshops if you've listened to the Resume Writing 101 workshop, for example, or the online job search workshop might have mentioned this as well. TORQ Online is a job informational site taken from a national survey, and this website's produced by the government every couple of years or so. And so this is where TORQ is actually pulling these job descriptions from here. So for example, let's say chefs and head cooks, that's probably the one I want to go for right here. But let's say I wanted to make sure, double check that. Well, I can take that title here, go over the ONET, my little thing keeps getting in the way of me here, and type in chefs and head cooks. And you see here, ONET's going to give you a lot of different titles here, but let's say I wanted to double check this one in particular. I'll click right there. Then I can get a much more specific view of what a chef or a head cook looks like, as well as some other sort of titles for it. So maybe you've had the title of, line cook or head cook or corporate executive chef before. That's a good way for you to be certain that this is right for you, but if not, you can always go through this website and double check all the information here to make sure it matches what you're putting in there. So let's say chef and cook is okay. Now the other thing I need to do is put in my dates. So let's say I started this job, let's say in March of 2015. Now let's say I'm still working here, just to make it a little simple. And one thing I do want to know before I click that button is you see right here at the bottom, this little add button right here is gray and darkened, and I can't do anything with it. You can probably hear my clicking a bit there. Once I click current occupation or put a date in here, that button's going to turn blue. And once it turns blue, that's how I know I can actually add. You can see now that it sort of highlights when I hover over it, and now it adds it to right here. And that's how I get a job in there. Now one thing you also might notice that this says chef and not chef and head cooks. That's okay. Whatever you searched, whatever you typed in here, that's going to remain, but the information is still right then and there. I'll make that more apparent in the next example here. So let's say I wanted to add another job right here. Let's say add more work experience. Let's say before I was a chef, maybe I was a dishwasher. Maybe I worked my way up somewhere. So you can see here, again, the same thing pops up, dishwashers and some other things in here. But again, this one's pretty straightforward. Dishwasher is probably the most appropriate one for me here. So I'll click on dishwashers, put my month and my year. Let's say I started this one in May of 2010. And I just was promoted upward. Maybe I started in March of 2015, again, or ended 2015, just when my other job started over here. And again, now that I put all information in, the button at the bottom is turned blue. I'll click add. And really, again, pay attention that this says dish, this says dishwasher. When I click add, we see what I typed in as in dish. So again, do not worry about that because the information is a part of that. And for most people, you'd probably have more than 2 jobs put in there. If you don't only have 2 jobs, that's okay. For example's sake, I'm going to keep it at these 2 just to keep it pretty simple for our purposes. So once we have all our jobs in here, let's click next. Then it's going to use education as another parameter to search for jobs for you. So let's say I only have a high school diploma of education. There are a bunch of other educational options here, so if you have something that is not specific, try to pick the best one that's most associated with it, whether it be licenses or certifications. Try to pick what is most appropriate. It's not going to give you the opportunity to fill in this information manually because it is a program that has certain parameters to make it work. So just, again, try to pick the one that's most appropriate. Again, in my example, I'll use high school diploma. That's going to ask for my year. Let's say I graduated, in 2009 or before I started that dishwasher job. And again, click add. Then I can add more education. Let's say maybe I did some, some college courses. I can add that in there as well. For right now, I'll leave it just as high school diploma. Then I'll finally click finish. And you see here that TORQ is taking time to evaluate everything. So give that little bar as much time as it needs. It may take a little bit, it may take a little longer time depending on how much information you put in there. Just let that bar develop as it goes along here. But now we're finally in the career section of the TORQ website. This is the main piece we were kind of looking for when we started. So this career section is going to show you different opportunities for jobs that it thinks you can work based on information you put in there. I will say that TORQ is not a perfect program. As you can see here, the second topmost job here is solderers and brazers. You know, probably not something I have a lot of experience with, given my work as a chef and a dishwasher before that. So it's probably not something I have a whole lot of knowledge of. So just take that as it is. Take those things with a grain of salt. You know, you can pretty much just ignore things like solderers and brazers here. But some of these other ones seem appropriate. Of course, chefs and head cooks is going to be the first one there. Housekeeping janitorial supervisor, that seems pretty appropriate in my mind, given the skills I have. And all these other things probably have some things in there that are appropriate. And again, there might be some weird ones in here, like endoscopy, technicians. I'm sure that might take some sort of schooling to get into there. But that is the purpose of this website. It's not to say that you're ready to go in these right away, even the ones that have this little green marker here. It's saying that these are jobs you can work based on your skills there. And there may be some other things that lie in wait for you to take note of. So let's click on one of these jobs here just to see more specifically what I'm talking about. How about procurement clerks? That one seems pretty odd. Why would that come up with a chef and dishwasher type person? Well, let's say I wanted to learn more about this position. So you can see here it's going to give me a short little summary of what this person does, what a procurement clerk typically does. More interestingly, it's going to give me the strengths and the gaps here. And you can see that the strengths and the gaps are color-coded just like the TORQ scores are color-coded by green, yellow, and red. And so green, just like the, wow, the word is really escaping me right now. A traffic light. A traffic light is green means go, yellow means slow down, red means stop. And that's going to follow the same process here. You know, if you have the green skills here, you're good to go. If you have the yellow skills here, you probably need some more schooling on that. If you have the red skills here, you need to stop and really think about, you know, getting some more clerical information here. So that's the TORQ's website way of telling you of what skills and what things you may need. So let's say I was interested in procurement clerks, I would come here and say, okay, well, I probably need, I need to learn how to write better, and I probably need to learn how to use some, office tools, for example. That's a good way to get an idea. Again, it's not going to be perfect. It's not always going to match you one-to-one of everything that you're ready to go. There are still going to be some things that come into play, even with these jobs that have the high TORQ score. Before I move on, I just want to reiterate that the TORQ score here refers to these numbers in each of the boxes here. And you see that these numbers are not only numbered from 1 to 99, as the top number up here goes, but they're also color-coded by green, yellow, and red. And again, it's going to follow the same traffic light idea. Green jobs are generally jobs that you're probably ready to go into, maybe with some minor things as we saw with the procurement clerks. If I were to scroll down, I eventually might come across some, it's going to be a lot of scrolling, here we are, some yellow jobs. So these are jobs that, I have skills that I can use them for, but maybe I need to have some more information. For example, right here, probably need a thorough idea of what government programs are out there to be an interviewer for that kind of position. So keep that in mind that it's going to be color-coded and number-coded by each of these things here as you go along here. And you can organize this however you wish. If we go right back here to the top, we can see that there's some filters here. So it's giving me TORQ score, anything from 50 onward. But let's say I wasn't really interested in trying to go back to school or anything. I really wanted to make sure everything I was looking at was something I was pretty prepared to go to. Let's try 80. That seems like a fair bet. Alright. So if you didn't notice, the number here actually changed. I'll even go back to show you again. If I click back here, go to 50 again. It's 141 right now. If I click 50, it changes to 174. So it looks like it's taking about 30 jobs off the tip there. So let's go back to 80. And now we can see that, again, the jobs has decreased. And I should only see about, the TORQ scores of 80 and onwards. Probably some greens, mostly greens, and maybe some yellows if I were to go down back here to the bottom. And again, I can change that to my liking. So if I click here, and I click, let's say 90 to really shrink it down. Now I went from all the way from 141 to 43. So now I'm getting really specific as to what I can do. And I can make that more specific if I like. Let's say I wanted to have a certain salary range. Let's say I'd be fine with 42 to 62. Putting my salary up. Looks like a couple jobs got knocked off the top of there. I can also sort this differently. Let's say I didn't want to sort it by TORQ score. I can click sort right here. I can do Skill Fit. And again, this one probably won't change it too much. The TORQ score and Skill Fit are pretty similar, but we can see some changes, meters, readers, and utilities right here. That didn't show up right away beforehand. Food service managers didn't show up, so now it's looking more at my skills and less at what TORQ considers the TORQ score algorithm. I can also go up here and change it particularly by salary. So let's say I wanted the salary to pop up first and foremost. So the higher salaries will pop up first and the lower salaries will pop up below. You can search up by those two ways, but I would highly recommend keeping it to the TORQ score. I think that's one of the better ways to look at things, or the Skill Fit, because it gives you the more appropriate jobs for you first and foremost. So what do we do now? We put in all information. What do we do with all these boxes here? We can see on some of these boxes that it says, jobs and schools. And let's say I wanted to look at jobs and schools being supervisors of housekeeping and janitorial. If I want to click on schools, there might be some schools here. Yeah, some, building and maintenance stuff right here. I can see those schools' informations here. Let's say I wanted to save the schools. I can save them so I have them for later. I can open them to see what they're all about, get a direct link to their website, in this case, Delaware Community College. All that fun stuff. I can go back into that same job I was in before, and also look at the jobs. Same process will take place. I'll click jobs right there. And I'll see some jobs here that I can possibly look into. And again, I can open and or save them. Now, I keep clicking save. It says save the plan. Well, what does that mean? If I scroll up to the top here, you can see one of the tabs actually is plan. So let's click on that. So here we can see my profile, the jobs I put in before, as well as my education. Here's that job I saved right before. I can also remove it if I wanted to. There's the school I saved from before. And here are some careers I saved. Now, I actually didn't personally save these. What TORQ does is TORQ saves you the top 3 or 4 jobs, or careers I should say, because there's a difference between the two on the TORQ's website, automatically to your plan. Now let's say I know I didn't want to do a cashier, I know I didn't want to do a mailing clerk. I can click both of those jobs off. Give it a second because it will reorient itself to get it off my plan. So now I can orient what jobs I want to particularly focus on. So let's say now you're in your plan, you save some jobs, you save some schools, but now you want to go back to that initial screen. How do we get back there? Well, again, remind yourself that these boxes are called careers. If I went up to the top here, I can see a general careers tab. Click on that. And it's going to bring me right back to this area right down in this section here. So this is primarily what TORQ is meant to do. It's meant to give you an idea of what jobs are out there that you can possibly work, primarily based on your skills and experiences, as opposed to some other job career exploration tools out there that might do it off your interest. This does it primarily off what you actually can do, giving you a little more of a concrete idea of how your skills and abilities relate to future jobs. Now, I just want to remind yourself all again that this system is not perfect, because this is not a person with an understanding of career advisement looking at your resume and talking to you and saying, okay, well, these jobs might be good for you. This is a program, an algorithm, taking all the information you put into it and using that in the TORQ system here. So just remind yourself that you may get some oddball jobs and careers in here, like solderers and brazers, for example. But overall, I think it's a very useful tool. I find that when we teach this class at the actual physical location, that a lot of people like just spending time going through each of these sections here, clicking on the learn more areas here, and finding all the information they need to do with their jobs, finding the jobs they can possibly work. It's a really great tool to really orient your job search more specifically, especially if you're someone who isn't really sure what they want to do. It can be a great way to really focus your job search in a lot of different perspectives. And like I said before, you're always going to access the TORQ program through this website, but if you've already done it before, if you've already done all of this before, and let's say I close out all these tabs here, I went back over to this website and I clicked enter again, or in this case enter for the second time, it'll walk me through a lot of the same steps, but once I'm actually on the website, it's not going to have me go through all that stuff again. I'm going to go right back into what I was doing before. So TORQ will automatically save to your CareerLink account, if you will. I won't have to go in again and put in all this information that I put in prior to me starting this. So it's a great thing to not only add to, but also just to keep consistent that you can always go back to for all these job-related information bits here. So I really hoped this little pre-recorded workshop helped you out quite a bit. If you did want more help with this, there is a PowerPoint with screenshots that can help you out as you do it. You can also play this workshop back to you as many times as you like to give you an idea of how TORQ will work. But in that, again, I really hope this helped you out in some way, shape, or form. I hope you're all staying safe and staying healthy. And as I always like to say, keep on keeping on, everyone.